What's going on, everybody? It's always good to be back with you. As always, this is your boy, Jesse McCoy. I am joined by the world's leading legal humorist, Sean Carter. How are you doing?
Very well.
Okay. And we've also got, for the first time, two guests on the podcast at the same time.
That's right. Yes, sir.
So we are joined by Kane and Vincent Anderson. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing awesome, sir. Thank
Doing
you for
extremely
asking.
well.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing well. I just got back from my son's Christmas party at the church. So I feel sanctified and I'm ready to sing.
All right.
I heard that.
Yes, sir. It's funny you talk about you feeling sanctified now because the Sunday, you in there cheering the UFC victory. Right, exactly.
I think we all cheering that one.
Oh, yes, sir.
Still cheering.
Man.
Yeah. That's two L's.
And it happened the same week. It happened the same week as impeachment. We
doing well. For those later, we are talking on was it impeachment eve, or are we actually now officially into? I guess we're officially into impeachment time, right?
Oh yeah, it's official now.
He's been impeached. Yeah.
All right, so Trump has been just impeached by the House. We got to enjoy this until the Senate acquits him. So there you go.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Y'all seem like y'all already think that's what's gonna happen. Y'all don't have any faith in Mitch McConnell?
Oh no, not at all. No, not at all. Now, before we get in this conversation, I do want to make sure we're clear that that Vincent and Kane Anderson are the brothers from the Distinguished Twins podcast. Yes, we're going to talk about something I think that should be near and dear to their heart, Brotherhood. And either one of you could take it over and explain to us your twinness. I think we understand how it happened, but go ahead and explain what it means to be twins and growing up as the ultimate brothers.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate that. This Kane speaking. As far as when it comes to our quote unquote brotherhood as twins, it's the craziest part about it is our dad. Our mom and our dad, they come from East St. Louis, Illinois. So do we. But the mindset was always survival. Mm-hmm. And so, as brothers, instead of, really being taught how to be brothers, it was just more so my parents were of the mind that they wanted us to be strong men. That's okay. Rather than have this like bond. So we naturally worked through our own problems and kind of learn how to love one another with that brotherhood mentality. Right. Because we were very competitive growing up, and as twins, it's a gift and a curse because, we were always compared to one another. Yes. And, obviously when you start performing and, you see someone get the accolades, you might look at yourself and say, man, am I good enough? And, it goes both ways. If he does good, then it looks good on me. If I do good, it looks good on him. But if he does bad, the same scenario. So, yeah.
But, go back here a second, because that's something that's intriguing me here. Mm-hmm. My history, I grew up basically as an only child. I have a little sister who's 8 years younger than me. That's not the same, right?
Right.
But I did have a cousin who lived like a mile away, and we were tight. Every weekend we slept at each other's houses. And the thing about it is we competed relentlessly. Yeah. Now, the problem is that he was better than me at everything.
Okay.
Everything. Okay. I mean, it was always, but it was thinking about mostly it was just a little bit, so it was even more frustrating, right? Right. And I love the brother, but I have some resentment, right? I can imagine looking at someone who's sharing my DNA. And you guys play football, but you didn't play the same position, right? You play different positions.
Yes, sir. It's funny because when we were going into Little League football, we went in and, we knew we were going to be good just because my uncle played and he was a pretty good football player. He was nationally recognized. And so, it was like in our DNA. And so before we went out on our first day, we were talking about who was going to be the quarterback. Yeah. Because my uncle was a quarterback. Right. And so Vincent, he was like, well, I want to be the quarterback. So I was like, okay, cool. You can be the quarterback. I'll be the running back, whatever.
Right.
And, the first day we went out there, everybody, they let the kids run around and kind of throw the ball and run and
just to check them out
to check them out and see what they have. And, the coach said, hey, Kane, you're going to be the quarterback. And he said, Vincent, you'll be the running back. And from that day forward,
never changed.
It never changed.
Really?
I played quarterback for 17 years after that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, and that was the thing. I mean, being on the same team, we played on the same little league team, high school team, collegiate team. We even played professionally together as well on our team. And, we were always, as he stated, it was always a comparison going on, and we were very successful, just throughout our entire football career. So there was always a comparison going on, whether it was on the offensive side or the defensive side of the ball, because although Kane did play quarterback, he played defense as well. And me, naturally being a receiver, I played some defensive back as well, which was probably my strong suit, but I was pretty good on both sides, like, not to toot my own horn.
He was pretty good.
Yeah. So, yeah.
See that built-in representation?
Yes, there you go. Yes, there you go.
Always my number one receiver.
Yes, sir. So, but I mean, so the comparisons, they were there. And, sometimes, like Kane mentioned, we would kind of look at one another and kind of, compare ourselves in a sense, because people always, they put it out there. So we thought that was natural. But, for the most part, we supported each other throughout our entire careers. And there were, plenty of times where we butted heads, and especially me being a receiver and, Kane being the QB, and so naturally it's like, if I didn't get the ball sometimes, I'm frustrated. Like, what are you doing, right? Like, throw the ball, but, at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything, because it really taught me, so much about, brotherhood and how to be a brother, and, how to support my brother even when things weren't going my way. So I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
And I was telling just before you got here, I was telling the Anderson brothers how, I met and had breakfast with Vincent.
Yes, sir.
And I was telling Kane, it was like he was there, because the first thing that Vincent said to me is like, I'm a twin. And,
yes, sir.
And I kind of asked him, I said, well, do you like your brother? Now, here's the thing: that's a question that should always be yes, but it's not always yes, right?
Right.
And he was like, that's my dude. We do this, we do that, we do that. And I was like, wow, these are brothers who actually still like each other as grown men.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because we compare it to a marriage.
Right.
There's a lot of give and take, because we left our parents' house when we were 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Never went back. And so we lived together, and we had to split duties. I would cook.
Yeah.
And he would wash
laundry
dishes,
and wash dishes.
Do laundry, and I had other duties as well. But it was just amazing, getting to this point, and just realizing, even now, even at 34 years old, we're still learning one another, because as men, as brothers, we weren't taught how to have that humility with one another. So, when that maturity kicks in, now it's, we can actually talk about, things that bother us and not get defensive and things like that. So
exactly.
It's like I said, it's a gift and a curse, because you're so close, you're so much alike, and you know how it is. It doesn't matter if it's your wife, if it's your kids. If you're around someone all the time, you're gonna butt heads.
Yeah, well, true. Do you guys have those twin magical powers though? Like, can you feel each other?
Yes, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Without a doubt.
So that's a real thing, yeah.
Yes,
it's really a real thing.
I mean, because you even know, like, with your spouse, because you've been around your spouse so long, that energy is real. You can feel, your spouse doesn't even have to say anything to you. If something's off.
Exactly. And so, that's not a superpower, brother. That's I mean, whenever we were kids, and we would be in school, our father, he was very militant. And so he was a provider and a disciplinarian. That was the extent of his role in our life, right? And so whenever we would get in trouble, we would already know
before we even got out of class and saw each other passing through the hallway. Like, man, like what happened? You know, and so we knew, you know, because we feared our father. You know, we feared him. So it was like, God dang it, like you got in trouble again, like, you know. So, you know, we felt for one another. We would try to, you know, sit there and just try to game plan. Like, okay, how can we get out of this one? How can we get you out of this one? And it didn't work most of the time. But.
So you were both responsible for each other? Like, if one of you got in trouble, you both got in trouble?
It seemingly like my parents, they didn't punish us, you know, simultaneously, you know, if one person was guilty. But when it came to outside of the home, you know, if he did something bad, I looked bad, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and we carried each other's burdens. We really did. I mean, and so, I mean, and with our parents, but, you know, just imagine, you know, here's your twin, you know, your road dog, you do everything together. So once he goes under punishment, what do? You know, you go outside, you lost. So we're, you know, trying to run around the neighborhood, and it's like, you know, I don't have my brother with me. So half of you is missing. There you go. So, it was always a disadvantage, and you know, we certainly got in our fair share of trouble. I mean, we were pretty rough as kids. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. We had to be coming from this. Absolutely.
Then Justin, you got to get in here because
I know, right?
You told stories where you seem to be a little rough too as a kid.
I mean, you know, I think similar circumstances, except you know, I didn't have a father figure there, and I feel like I had to figure out a lot of things. And I actually had, I've been blessed. I don't have a twin, but I am married to an identical twin. And my aunts also were identical twins. Wow. And the first clients I represented as an attorney were identical twins. Wow. So, and just to give you a snippet of the stuff I dealt with, one client was a pastor whose name had gotten besmirched in the paper because the other client was a stone cold criminal. And he was using the pastor's name whenever he would get in trouble so that he wouldn't catch the full wrath of the sentence.
Oh, my God. Wow. So you get it then. You understand. Oh.
I understand. I understand.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
No, you did. I did not know that Nish was a twin. Now, with Vincent Kane telling us, does that sort of resonate with her experiences growing up with her sister?
I mean, they're like built-in best friends. So
there we go.
I mean, the cool thing about it is, you know, if I'm not around, I know who she's gonna be on the phone with. The other side of it though is, to a certain extent, I feel like as the person who kind of married into the situation, I feel like I'm kind of responsible for both, right? I want to make sure both of them make sure they both are, you know, happy and everything. And it's just one of those things where, like, I know my wife won't be completely happy unless they're both happy. Right.
There you go. Man, that's big. That's huge. That's a good one. Wow. I mean, to see it from, to hear it from that perspective. Yeah. You know, you marrying a twin, you know, because, my wife, you know, she would always say, like, you know, if something was wrong with me, she'd be like, what's wrong? You know, like, you're not talking to your brother? Like, what's going on? Like, you guys get into it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And she knows, you know, that if something was off with my brother, then, you know, I was probably going to be a little bit off my marker at home. So, you know, it's certainly that connection is so deeply rooted, and I feel for you, brother. I feel for you. You know, you gotta.
Now, Jesse, you know, like you said, you know, I know you grew up with your mom, but you obviously, you know, probably had some male influences, you know, who were, you know, big. So what was that? Was that more sort of peers, or did you have like an older uncle, or how did that work out?
So I had a godfather who was a reformed pimp.
Well, all right.
You know, like legit. Who used to take him to meet Susie on the corner and pick up his money and make his collections. So it was a very interesting experience growing up, but he changed and ultimately towards the end of his life became a deacon in the church and somebody that the community, you know, it was good because he's one of these people who I see who people on both sides of the tracks in the community respected him. So his funeral was well attended. We had people who literally just came out to jail and came because he mentored them. And we had people who were, you know, city officials and dignitaries who came. Wow. One of his ex-girlfriends, when I went to law school, he was like, oh, I got to introduce you to this little lady I used to mess around with. and now she's a judge. So there's some built-in benefits there. But he's like, yeah, she used to represent me when I used to get hemmed up. So you should go talk to her. And she was like, yeah, anything you need, if you need a recommendation, whatever the case may be. And she's always made herself available just on the strength of him and his work and his reformation and all that stuff. So for me, it was, and I think the only thing, and this is going to sound really weird, but I feel like until I built that relationship with him, I felt unprotected. So it's almost like you have to maximize your level of aggression to a subhuman point in order to not be taken advantage of, because, my mom ain't coming to help. She at work.
Right.
Nobody coming, I don't have, like, the thing about only child is when you get in a fight, you better win. And you better find an extra win. They gonna call somebody and you don't have nobody.
Exactly.
But with him, because he just carries so much respect everywhere in the city, then his thing was, well, who you got a problem with?
Exactly.
And we pull up in his truck and he like, yo, he with me. Now I have no worries. Like everybody's good.
There we go.
So that was cool. And I think some of the life lessons that I feel like I picked up from him, even though he wasn't necessarily educated, I picked up life lessons about how to take care of your family.
There you go.
How to be responsible, how to make sure your money, the count needs to always be right. Just being on top, and don't let people take advantage of you, like that kind of thing. Lessons that you wouldn't expect to come from that avenue. Just to kind of ground me.
Yeah, no, actually, I would expect them to come from that avenue. Right, where's my money is coming from.
Where's my money? I had to work hard to reel that back in and say it in a much more professional manner. Like, you see some short me some money. You got to
There you go.
Exactly. But the thing about it is that we all have to have someone, right? And I think it's the thing we sometimes forget is like, you don't just automatically at 18 become a man.
Exactly.
Yes.
Someone's got to sort of teach you how to do that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Hey, I was going to ask you guys, what is you all's relationship? Are you real brothers-in-law?
So the law part comes from the fact that we're both lawyers. Jesse and I we actually met once a long time ago. Was it 10 years ago now?
Oof. Yeah, more than 10 years ago at this point. Probably 12. Yeah.
Law school, and I went to speak at the law school there.
Okay.
And, that wasn't, we lost touch and didn't really think about it. And then we ended up getting connected through Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, because we both gripe on Facebook. We have a lot of posts about the most radical stuff in the world. And, and it was a connecting point. But I'll tell you this. The one thing about Sean Carter that I have admired ever since I met him, he came in and he found a lane to go into that is not the traditional lane that everybody tries to push you in.
Yeah, right.
This lane of legal humorist. And I thought he was the most hilarious person that I had ever heard. And I was like, look at that brother. That man is free, right?
Yeah.
He's liberated.
Right.
That's what I want to be. I want to be liberated. Somebody smart, somebody who can give you complex information, but you can digest it because it's funny, even if it makes you feel bad about the state of our law and some of the stuff that we got going on.
Right.
So I was like, yo, this guy's great. And, you just follow him and you see he's doing all kinds of great writing and all this stuff. So I was like, man, this is somebody that I would aspire to be like. Problem is, I graduated from law school in 2008 when there were no jobs.
Right.
So, in the quest to try to find freedom, I had to sell my soul for a bit. So I had to work my way out of some situations. And what I would do is when I would get frustrated, I would go to Facebook and just write, 4-page posts about what happened either in the news or in life or whatever. And people started, liking it. And then I would look at Sean's stuff and people would like it. So I think we just connected based on that.
Although I think I met you actually through Nish.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely.
So through Jesse's wife, she was also a lawyer. And so, but anyway, I love my life when I listen to it through Jesse's ears. It's a lot more exciting than sometimes it is. But I've been blessed to be able to do this. It's fortunate, like you said, I got lucky in the sense that I found a way to use a talent I have to be able to, make a living by just finding this niche. And what makes me, I can honestly say, the country's, probably the world's foremost legal humorist is that nobody else does it. So that makes it simple because most people want to have a job and benefits and some sense. So I get that.
Right, yes, sir.
It's been a fun thing. Just as funny as that, when I first, started getting in touch with him and watching his posts on Facebook, and I was one to approach him about the podcast, but I didn't know that actually, this brother is talented. So all the bumpers, the one you just heard, listen to the podcast as a listener, the ones you hear every week, Jesse does those.
Oh, okay.
He writes them. He does the voices on them. Jesse has talent in the sense that, sometimes I wish I had voices and be able to sing.
Yeah, right.
There was one early podcast, Jesse, where you were singing. I played to Renee. I was like, my boy can, I got him singing. He was singing.
Right. My boy can sing. Yeah.
Exactly. She was like, I was like that scene from, Coming to America. That boy.
Yeah, there you go. That boy can sing. Yeah. That boy good. He good.
The miracles of editing software.
Right. There you go.
Renee suggested that auto-tune might have had something to do with it.
Right. Oh, yeah. That can help.
Hey, Sean, actually, not to cut anybody off, it's funny. I was speaking with my buddy. He's a few years older than me, and I was mentioning because I met with him yesterday. We had coffee, and I was telling him that we were going to join you guys for your podcast. And when I mentioned your name, he was like, "Hold on." He was like, and I think he said something about, did you used to write maybe a column in the paper or something? Yeah. And he said,
I wrote for the ABA journal years and years ago, and they fired me in 2000, I think in 6. I wrote from 2003 to 2006, and it was funny because it's been one of the most impactful things that's ever happened in my life. Getting fired. And here's why: because at the time, they were paying me, $350 a column, which is like $1,400 a month. So, it's a bill, right? It's a good bill. It's a mortgage or whatever, right? So that was, good. But more importantly, I was getting a lot of my business from them. With people who read the column, like this guy, right? And at that point, I was like, oh my God, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. But what it made me do is finally get off my butt and go, no, you got to go out there and get it, Sean. You can't just wait for people to come see you. And so it turned out within a couple of years, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But, but at the time it was catastrophic, right? And it was one of those things where and think about getting fired in the quote unquote media, and calling the ABA journal media is a stretch. I'll grant it.
Right.
The thing about getting fired in the media is, if you ever heard on radio, you get fired. They don't have a luncheon. It's not like retirement in basketball where you do a tour around in various arenas. You are on 1 minute, and the next minute you just gone.
Right.
There was no goodbye column. So I had all these people follow me, and it was just like, what happened, Sean?
Exactly.
It was just gone, right?
Yeah. Right.
And that was the thing that kind of really freaked me out. I was like, wow, they don't play.
At all.
You get fired on, from column or whatever, you're just gone.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah, I had a buddy in radio actually who got fired out here, and he lost his mind because he was on the radio for quite a few years out here, and it actually ended up being a big blessing for him because now he's in Atlanta on, I think, the top radio station in the country.
Yeah.
So
B103.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, J times 3.
Yeah, Gerard Johnson.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
With big tickets.
So sometimes, those things are blessings sometimes, but boy, at the time, it hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a little kick in the butt. That's it. But yeah.
After the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Brotherhood, I know we kind of,
Deviated
a little bit. We talked about that, but anything else you guys?
I thought of this for you guys when we were trying to figure out, something to talk about, and the name sort of worked out and the circumstances. But one of the things I admire about all three of you, is the fact that you seem to have, this what would be the word for it? This understanding that I think I lack a little bit. I don't have as much of brotherhood in the sense that, with twins, Jesse, one of the things I admire most about him is that, he has a real sense of kinship of not just brotherhood, but sisterhood, but particularly for Black people, particularly where Jesse's got your back. All right. I know if I were to be arrested in a Tijuana jail, and it can happen. That there are a few people I would be on my short list to call. Jesse would be the first one, because I know, one, he's gonna actually believe me that I'm innocent. I might not be, and two, he'd be trying to get me out.
Right. Oh yeah.
You are innocent, brother. You innocent until they prove you guilty in the court of law.
There you go. Oh yeah, and I can agree to that. I mean, when you talk about his fervor for just Black people in general,
right?
That's something that really attracted me to Jesse as well. I know you made that connection, but I pay attention to your writings quite often, Jesse. I mean, and especially as of late. You're extremely intelligent, extremely knowledgeable, especially about Black history. And I think that's so powerful and impactful. And it really aligns a lot with what I do with my research as far as a community developer and understanding, because a lot of I focus on African American children. And that's my heart, my passion. I'll do that until I leave this earth. But, just a lot of the information that you have, I think that is so important. And just imagine, of course, the position that you're in today, just imagine if every African American child had access to that information and could understand that I too can become, this influential, figure, or even I can become a lawyer, or I can become an engineer or a doctor or anything of the sort. And so when I read your writings, I'm so, just drawn in, because the passion, it jumps off the page. It jumps off the screen. So I can certainly appreciate that. And like you said, I can see your love and passion, for Black people, because if you look around and you really look at how we're socialized as Black people, we're not going to feel a lot of that love, consistently, from our people, because I say it a lot of times to my brother that we're a product of this country. In many of ways, as we have been taught in a lot of ways to hate ourselves. And so when you see, brothers, successful brothers at that as well, who have a big platform, who still, just are unashamed about their love for Black people, that's something that, I think is so admirable, because it's so easy to lose sight of that once you get up, because now you're up. You don't have to worry about the little man anymore if you don't want to, and we see that a lot with a lot of our successful people. And so to see you still fighting a good fight and still stepping in and speaking for the little man, and I applaud you, brother. I respect you, and that goes for both of you guys. Both of you guys. It's something. Actually, my twin brother, he turned me on to you, Sean, with a post that you had that went viral. And, he was like, man, he said, I think, man, this brother right here, you got to follow him. He said, he speaks up for Black people, and our issues, and he does it so eloquently, and with humor and everything, infused into it. And so when I took a look, I said, man, this brother, he's on to something, and so for both of you guys, I admire you both, and I respect you immensely, and we both do. And so, for what you guys are doing, it's certainly an honor and a pleasure to be guests on your podcast. So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. And I just want to put this out there too. Like, one of the reasons why, first of all, I was bred into this, right? So my mother was big on having me read books that were way out of my grade level from an early age and doing reports. So I read everything from Die Nigga Die, H. Rap Brown, Up From Slavery, Souls of Black Folks. Like, I had to know that stuff. Autobiography of Malcolm X. Like, I had to know it. Then on top of that, once you know that and you have a sense of identity, what I started realizing at an early age was there were a lot of people, particularly educators, who were not forthcoming in trying to support people in those quests. So it was like, if you were Black, automatically you were a failure, or you needed your ADHD or whatever the case may be. Some of the people I knew, despite the fact that we came from a low income background, these people were geniuses. I knew a dude, even the people who were doing the wrong thing, I tell Sean all the time, there was a guy in the county where I was living, on the street that I lived on, who basically was the biggest drug dealer in the city. He was 15 years old, right? People lined up, grown people laid off by the factory, lined up on the 1st and 15th to give him money. And he did all kinds of reckless stuff because he's 15. Right. But at the same time, I'm like, to even have the thought process to be able to formulate an organization like that. And then I look at, black people oftentimes, when I was growing up, got shunned for things that are really unique and creative. So if you were black and you played chess, or if you were black and you like robots or whatever the case may be, like people would go and try to shun you. And what I've realized now as an adult is those people were pioneers and trendsetters because they come from a lineage of people who were pioneers and trendsetters. And our accomplishments in this country and in Africa always get downplayed for white supremacy ideology, right? So, if everybody likes to reduce George Washington Carver to peanuts, but they don't want to talk about all the things that he went through, even his upbringing. The reason why he became the reason why he became a botanist was because he was freaking taken into a white family who castrated him because they had a daughter, right? And he couldn't trust the people that essentially were feeding him and raising him. So he built relationships with plants that were so unique that he was able to get medicinal value from plants at a time when nobody was even thinking about plants. And when they started having things like boll weevil issues and plagues all across the country, the only person who could figure it out was him. Now, in 2019, all these white companies are advertising what? Plant-based.
There you go.
All this stuff, but nobody wants to cite credit to the actual source
at
where this
all.
stuff came from. And it's all designed to keep us in the same box. Like if people don't know that they have the ability to go out here and do amazing things that change the world, then they'll always be complacent with, well, I'm just going to get a factory job, or no, I'm just going to do this. Right? So what I do is I try to encourage on one front, but on the other front, I also feel like what those books taught me is there are a lot of life challenges that you don't even appreciate that you read about until you go through it.
Right.
So, everything with like the autobiography of Malcolm X especially, you're dealing with somebody who is writing about a transition from essentially being an orphan to being a criminal to being one of the most prolific people that existed, the only person challenging the paradigm. Right? So you're dealing with somebody who's gone through so many different facets that you can connect, because maybe, I can connect with a Detroit Red and his children.
There you go. Absolutely.
Who may not have had that experience can connect with El Haj Malik El Shabazz, right?
There we go.
Or you might be able to connect with Malcolm Little, right?
There you go.
The whole thing is, if we can connect and see that we all have a universal platform, we can get somewhere. And I think, lastly, if we understand kind of how to get where we need to go, and we've got these examples, the only thing that's really missing is what we're talking about tonight. It's the brotherhood. So somebody who can be supportive of your ventures and supportive of you, no matter what the media tells you, no matter what anybody wants to say about you. And for me, I even extend it to like our sisters, like everybody. If I can support our sisters without having a sexual interest in it, just saying, no, she's dope. That's why we need to support her.
There we go.
And you're not going to disrespect her because I'm not going to allow it. Right? So just to have a community, what I think that does is it comes back, because just like you were saying, community development, you are taking your talents to go back into our community to help our kids who probably wouldn't have seen somebody who looks like them being successful. Whereas you go in and you teach kids, let's say you got a class of 20 kids, that's 20 lives that you just changed, and they open and teach 20 people. So it's the only way that we kind of work around. And what I also say is I do a lot of communication with. I used to teach a class via Periscope to students in Kenya about Black history.
Okay.
So in Kenya, what people are dealing with is the ramifications of long-term colonization. Right? Sir. And oftentimes they have resources, they have stuff readily available, but those resources have bureaucratic red tape over it because of the colonization. They don't have a lot of the things that people in America take for granted.
Period.
Education,
Yes.
exposure to opportunity. So my dream here, ultimately, before I die, is for us to be able to build a pipeline of information connecting Black Africans and Black African Americans so that they can benefit from what we know, we can benefit from the resources that they got access to, and we can all have some joint transatlantic experience so that we don't have to sit back and talk about how white supremacy has reduced us or how we can't do it because the white man said we can't do it. We can get money without the white man, right?
Bottom line.
You know, I got to tell you, I'm so happy to hear this conversation amongst you youngins. And I tease you, you know, but I'm maybe, you know, at least 10 years older than all of you. I'm 52, so I'm about, I'm a little, quite a bit older than you. And the thing about it's funny is I didn't realize the difference. But growing up as a kid, I realized it was something that was common with every Black show I ever watched. And I'm talking about whether it was Sanford and Son, whether it was Good Times, whether it was Jefferson's. Here, what was the number one theme? I want to get away from Black people.
That's it.
Yep.
If I can make it, it means getting away from Black people.
There you go.
Every episode of the Good Times, all they want to do is what? Get out of the ghetto. Get away from it. Every episode, George Jefferson, the whole song, the theme song, he's there.
Yeah, moving on up.
Get away from Black people.
Come on now.
And so the problem is that people who, and they come up, just a little bit older than you, I have to confess, I wasn't this quote unquote woke until I had kids.
There you go.
Teenagers who did not have my white pass.
There you go.
See, as a lawyer, a Harvard educated lawyer, I got a white pass.
Yeah,
absolutely. The last 3 times I got pulled over by the cops, I didn't even get a ticket.
Wow.
And the reason is because I was able to let them know very quickly that I'm a lawyer. And that I was on the way to go speak to a group of other lawyers who were even more powerful than them.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
I'm going to speak at a judicial conference. If I don't show up there tomorrow, they're going to come looking for me.
Okay. Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
But here's the thing is what I finally realized is that I have that pass. And it took me a long time to realize it, but my kids don't.
Bottom line.
Right? And so my kids got old enough to realize, oh man. And then I started to realize, oh my God, all these other brothers and sisters I left behind. And there were people like me who, for most of our lives were taught that the way you get ahead in life is you get a little education, a little money, and you get the hell away from other Black people.
That's it. Yep. That's it.
And I'm starting to see brothers coming back, which is so important. I've learned it myself recently. It's like, when people my age complain about the kids, it's not their fault. We didn't give them that community that was given us. Because I grew up in an all-Black neighborhood of people who had some people had degrees, other people didn't, but they were good with Black people. One, because they didn't have a choice. Right? You couldn't necessarily go move in every neighborhood. But they understood. So there was a doctor a couple blocks from my house, a couple of doctors in my neighborhood. That doesn't happen these days.
No,
so I grew up always knowing that there was another way.
There you go.
There were avenues that people, every profession you think of, whether blue collar, white collar, all the stuff in the middle, because Black people were sort of tied to our community. Versus this idea of, where the only Black people you'd see now are the last Black people who didn't get out.
There you go.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's funny because, Jesse, when you were speaking, and I just shared the article in our group chat on Facebook, but I read this quote today and it just speaks exactly to what you were saying about, with kids. I want to just share it. It says, when people feel powerless to solve their problems, they are more likely to embrace what they believe to be inevitable.
There you go.
And I think that's so heavy because, if you don't have that encouragement and you don't have hope, at least, or see an example, of where you can go or the possibility of what you could be, then the inevitable, right? If you were born poor, you like, well, this is what I accept.
There you
right?
go.
You accept your position, quote unquote, in life. And, I think that's powerful where you say to build that pipeline with that information. Because I know for my brother and I, we were standout athletes. We did some freakish things physically, on paper, and we were proud of that. But once we realized that we were racehorses, essentially on the professional level, we decided once we saw this documentary on Black history, it I mean, it rocked us to the core.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we said, you know what? I'm okay with not playing sports because we grew up believing that you could only make it through an entertainment avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And we started to literally believe in ourselves, which we've always done well in school, but we never, strive to do great in school because we didn't think that was the path for us.
Right.
We knew that we saw all of these black athletes and entertainers and we felt like this is our route. But when we learned that history, it completely changed our whole lives, mentally.
Exactly. I mean, and to add to that again, this is what my dissertation is really about is, and I'll probably wrap that up in like March, but, what it's about is the way that our kids are socialized and, the media, the K through 12, system, the education, the curriculum is, biased, especially racially biased. And so, I was looking at a study and it was just heartbreaking. And, it stated that out of 4,500 young black males, their number one role models that they listed was a professional athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And so that broke my heart. You just talk about 98%.
Yeah.
Right? 98% out of 4,500. And the other 2%, they listed, an entertainer. And so, when I saw that, it really spoke volumes to me. And through my nonprofit organization, I actually have a couple initiatives that I'll be rolling out as soon as I finish up my program. I'm really in the process of getting started. But, have an initiative of how to try to disseminate information to African Americans to African American children throughout the country. And so it's a national initiative that I've been working on for about 5 years now. And I pretty much got it down now. So, you guys, guys like you and other individuals, who have a platform and who can connect to the little man, I would love to connect, after the show for sure, especially, because when you speak about who we are and, Jesse, I know you touched on, just as far as, how do we support one another and, we see one another and it comes down to when you're talking about community development, it's two aspects that you need in order to be classified as a community developer, and that's solidarity and agency. If you're not working to create those, you're not a community developer. And so when I think about it, of course, solidarity is first and foremost, but it's very difficult for African Americans to have any solidarity when the majority of the information that we ingest doesn't come from people who look like us.
Yeah.
And so, we're told that we're this, that we're that. We're probably the most, just fractured population of people globally, because again, if you look at our history throughout this country, everything was taken from us that was just natural to us, our culture, our indigenous ways, and so on and so forth. So, a lot of, like I said, a lot of work that I've been doing, of course, connected with the right people and so on and so forth, and especially with our athletic background for one of the initiatives, we believe that it could be successful. So again, solidarity and agency. So how do we get African Americans to identify at least, of course, the intersectionality, we can't neglect that. We can't disregard that. But there has to be a common ground somewhere where we can identify as one, and also the agency. How do we empower our population to become self-sufficient? So that's what I'm about. I know you talk about creating that pipeline from here to Africa, which is so great, and I'm certainly trying to do some of those same things. But we are, me and my brother and I. But also, like I said, how do we get to? And I would tell my advisor this all the time. I'm not concerned. You can tell me all these statistics of, well, when you look at African American children, the ones who don't do well, poverty comes into play, socioeconomic status. But at the same time, it comes down to the information that they're ingesting from the beginning that makes them believe that they're intellectually inferior as well. Because then we get into, stereotype threat, and we get into all those things. I can go on and on about it, but at the end of the day, again, I think that, a lot of what you spoke on, both you and Sean, I think that is so important. Like Sean, when you said, you had kids and it kind of hit you then, we begin to understand, what our kids are reading and, what they're looking at on television. It's so impactful and so powerful. And it's so important that we control that information. And I think that, it's very, like I said, it's very powerful. And it's such a pleasure to hear that coming from you too, especially with the heights that you've reached, academically and just career wise as well, just as, African American brothers. So I love to hear that.
But I think one of the challenges you mentioned there is the fact that, it's so easy to begin to believe the hype that, and it's always embedded upon me that, I was exceptional Black. I wasn't like the other ones.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Talented 10.
That talented 10. There you go.
Yep.
And people have said, I wanted to ask recently people, and maybe we'll just do it here, have you ever received, one of those black-handed compliments, right? Where, like a backhanded, it was meant to be a compliment. I'm absolutely convinced that, think about it, brothers your size especially, it's not like people our size, there are a lot of white people come to us and trying to insult us to our faces. Like,
bottom line,
right?
Bottom line.
And to say something nice, but I've had everything from, you're articulate, which is like, really, how was I supposed to be?
There you go.
Yes.
You're surprised I can speak, right?
Thank you.
Yes.
Or the idea that, my favorite one is, I heard it twice in Utah, I'm a credit to my race.
Wow.
Oh
Wow.
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 I mean,
that's a good one right there, right?
Yeah.
Wow, you don't think a damn thing about black people, do you?
You hear me?
You thought a clown was the best that we produced, right? Really?
Right?
You never heard all these other people?
I mean, I think the worst that I've heard is, I've been real, friendly with some, white folks, and they say, you know what, Vince? You're not black. You're not black. Oh my god. That is, oh my gosh, infuriating. I mean, and I immediately walk away, and I had to sever ties in every situation, because I know what you think, not just of me, but just as of black people as a whole. And that's dangerous.
Yep.
That's dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't want to be the exceptional Negro. I don't want to be him. I want, give me the same respect that you would give that brother on the corner with a 40 in his hand.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, that's a human being. Yeah. At the end of the day, and so I don't care about my education or anything that I've accomplished. We're all human beings, so we deserve that dignity.
Yeah.
And I don't care about that treatment.
The difference between that brother and us is that somebody recognized something in us early.
Thank you.
Didn't recognize in him, even though he might have had it.
Right. There we go.
There you go.
That's it.
So
Yep.
one of the things that one of you mentioned just about the biases of teachers, and it's not an intentional thing; it's just an implicit bias.
Yeah, it is.
But study after study will show, like you mentioned, that young black boys. So a young black boy can never be precocious.
All right.
He can never be inquisitive.
Right.
He's a troublemaker.
There you go.
He's a smart aleck.
Yeah.
And as a result, the things that we would treasure in other kids, our kids don't ever get to be, and so those kids will be labeled as troublemakers, as special, as our favorite is how often black kids are put in the special needs programs.
Yeah.
Right.
Or jail, the school to prison pipeline.
Come on now.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this, because this is another thing that, again, just because of my upbringing, this is one of the things I realized. Can you imagine if you had black kids, elementary school kids, who understood that what you were teaching them in school was bullshit? Right? You're like, okay, George Washington is a great American. It's like, right? So if you start off from that, like even with my lessons that I teach now, I start off with the concept of the Constitution was written by people who owned other folks. And it was people who were upset with a country because they charged them extra for tea and stamps.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? So,
and that's the truth.
The whole concept is the education system has embedded lessons that they deem to be values for an American citizenry.
You're right. Yep. Right.
And they want everybody to subscribe to that. And the trouble as a black person is you have to subscribe to it to pass the test. Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's crap. So if you challenge it, you either challenge a teacher who doesn't want to deal with it, right? Like she's like, I need for the test. Yeah. Or you challenge a teacher who hasn't been exposed to it.
Right.
There you go.
They drank the Kool-Aid. So
there you go.
When you start presenting stuff, it's a whole different feel. And I think America's biggest flaw that you don't see even with South Africa after apartheid, Germany after the Holocaust. America never had truth and reconciliation. America want truth and reconciliation.
Man, bravo. We just touched on that on the past episode. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We don't want it, so we perpetuate things that really can't be resolved, because if the root is bad, the tree is bad. Right?
There we go. There you go. I like that. Look, and
Great.
I liken it to, an addict. America, it really has an addiction to, lying, cheating, stealing, the entire, if you have a bad word, just slap it on America. And until America can first admit that, yes, there's a problem, there's no way you can get better. They continue to hide it. They continue to, cognitive dissonance kicks in.
Yeah.
They don't want to believe it. They're in denial until we can, as a whole, accept, the atrocities of this country. There's no way that we can move forward, because they say history repeats itself. But if you don't know it, it'll continue to repeat itself.
Yeah, like a 12-step program. You have to admit that you have a problem. You have to admit that there is a problem there.
Yes.
And that's how you correct it.
Now, and you know how you know that the current Confederate monument and flag debate's the greatest example of that.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Monuments of Hitler in Germany.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
They realized that very quickly that was wrong, and they will never celebrate that.
Yeah.
We're still trying to celebrate stuff that the people who wanted to own other people as livestock.
Come on now.
We're not talking about a microaggression here, right? We're talking about as macro as aggression as you can get.
Exactly.
That it was wrong.
Yes.
And the toughest part is this and I ask my students, I'll say, man, Hitler, he was a bad person, wasn't he? And they're like, yeah, he was awful, Professor Anderson. Yeah, he was terrible. And I say, what's interesting is that he was inspired to do what he did to the Jewish. He was inspired by what America did to the Native Americans and the Africans. And then their jaws just hit the floor. And they're like, what? Like, no. And Henry Ford funded the Nazis.
Yeah.
And several other, world-renowned Americans, right? And so, when you really think about it, again, we're taught to honor and cherish individuals who saw our ancestors as nothing more than property.
Yeah.
And so when we look at it, and especially like you said, to this day, you got the Confederate statues. These people were traitors against America.
Yeah.
Right.
And so how do you honor these people? So you're just talking about a very confused and miseducated country.
Yes.
And I do think a lot of that is willful ignorance, truthfully.
Yeah.
Because when it's all said and done, when you look at America, no matter what, as long as white supremacy reigns, then a lot of Americans are comfortable and they're okay with whatever's being perpetuated. So until we can get to that point again, that notion of, well, no, everybody has an equal opportunity and everything, until we can get to that point of that's not how it is for everyone. And even all four of us can say it, as highly educated as we are.
Right.
The playing field is not level.
Yes.
It's not level. And so, I agree exactly what you're saying as far as those macroaggressions, people trying to defend that.
Yeah.
Like, we still have those mindsets, being perpetuated throughout this country, and we can't move forward until we can actually look at one another and say, okay, these are our ugly ways, and how do we move forward and get better? And I think that there should be some updates. I tell my students all the time, our phones update daily. Why can't we update this Constitution?
Seriously.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. So, yeah.
By the way, Apple, if you're listening, I don't need another damn update. All right, I get an update every day on my phone that just ends up messing up the last program I had. It's good enough for me. You don't have to update my Apple ever again. I'm fine with it.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Well, yeah, and while we're talking about it, so there's a big scandal going on in North Carolina where it comes to find out the University of North Carolina's Board of Governors actually paid some Confederate sympathizing group $2.5 million and gave them possession of a statue that the community pulled down from off campus. And so they try to do this, under the cloak of secrecy, and, people start snitching, which made me happy because it's nice to see white supremacists snitching on other white supremacists.
Yeah. Hello.
So, but one of the things that I like to emphasize, because I have a friend of mine, he used to be a Republican until he started realizing all this crap before Trump got elected. And now he's just nothing, but he's anti-Trump. So one of the things that I started, kind of picking on him about was I was saying, look, man, look at all of the attention and aggression that we getting from ripping down a symbol of white supremacy. What are y'all going to do when we start actually ripping down the white supremacy? Right?
Come on now. Come on now.
One of the things that I'm starting to realize is, and I get a kick out of this. People have spent so many resources for these statues. And I always ask my students, if somebody went and built a statue of Osama bin Laden and put it at the World Trade Center,
Thank you.
What would you do? What would you expect to happen to that person?
Yes.
And would you then have to go through schools named after him?
Right.
Would you then have to deal with people who want to embody his traditions and culture, but they claim it's not racist and claim it's not
Come on now.
whatever. And then on top of that, just being from the South, like, I guess there's a concept that I had to learn early about loss, right? Like, there are some situations, there are some fights that I got in. Anybody who's been in fights will tell you, you ain't gonna win them all, right?
You're not gonna win them all.
Some fights that I lost, and there's some fights I should have lost because I was running my mouth. I shouldn't have done that, right? I think that there's a humility that comes from being able to lose and look at somebody who beat you or who is just better than you in whatever the occasion.
Absolutely.
Extend your hand and say, you got me today. You won't be getting me tomorrow. I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to train, whatever. And you learn and you develop and you grow. I think that for the South, what happened down here is black people, from the moment that we got liberation, were already within a 40-year span creating black-run cities that had success and that had land and that had all, because we were the ones who had the skills for the farming in the first place.
Bottom line.
And when we did that, the only thing that the white society had, if you didn't have money in the white society, the only thing that you had if you were just a regular white person was whiteness. Right? And now that you're seeing Jay-Z's, Oprah's, Issa Rae, your TV is flooded with these black people who are billionaires, right? And you had a 400-year advantage.
Come on, man.
And you still didn't do it. You're still working at the same job as everybody else. And you don't understand how the whiteness train isn't promoting you.
There you go.
When you miss the lesson, the lesson is black people, it's not just us saying, oh, well, we're American, so it's going to work out. No, it's black people saying, you know what? I might not have Jeff Bezos' money, but I can do this thing in this small hemisphere or corner of my community. I'm going to get my money, and then I'm going to learn your system of capitalism, and I'm going to bring some people up, and I'm going to do that until I get, maybe I'll never be Jeff Bezos, but I might be a good Donald Trump. Come on now.
Come on now.
And I think that intimidates white people who aren't trying, right? So the only thing you got to cling to is a symbol. And I always think about people in my eyes who cling to symbolism, if it's not part of a religion, like, because Confederation is not a religion, right? So if you cling to a symbol, what is that really saying? That symbol embodies your strength. Right?
There you go.
So I'm only strong as long as I can walk down the street and see this white man, Confederate soldier, holding a gun against black people in, the United States of America, because in his heart, he lived free. He was liberated. He didn't have to bow to what the moneyed pressures were. Right? Meanwhile, black people on the sideline are like, man, that's some bullshit. You're stupid.
Right?
You don't need no symbol, right? Like, you don't have to have a symbol. Your symbol is being able to put food on the table for your kids and having money for the things that you want and investing in the things that you care about. That's your symbol, right?
Absolutely.
But I think now we're progressing to a point where, despite the fact that people are going crazy over the Confederate statues, which we grew up seeing, they've always been there. We've always been protesting. Governments have always told us, well, there's nothing they can do. We've got these statues that protect the, the statues that are put up, and there's nothing we can do. And the community was like, okay, we'll pull it down. Now you can't put it back up because there's nothing you can do, right?
Exactly.
And we've done that. What you've done symbolically is you pull down their power, right?
Yeah.
You pulled the power down.
Ooh.
So now they have nothing else but to be mad and want to resurrect
Wow.
the symbol
Yeah,
because now you
right.
have to feel that you're a loser and you don't have anything better going on.
There you go. That's heavy. That's heavy.
And there's actually a real, I won't be the word for it, psychological or phenomenon here that's been observed. I bet you, Dr. Anderson, you know about this particular study. Where they took some kids at Oxford once, and what they did was brilliant. It's all white boys, right? They put them in two groups. And they were based on how many their guesses of how many jelly beans were in a jar. All right. Now, when they put them in the groups, they told them, and it came out the results, that you people are high guessers and you people are low guessers. You guess lower and they guessed higher. The truth of the matter is they did. They just randomly put them in these groups.
Exactly.
But they started to get them together. What they did to them is say, okay, look, high guessers, we want to give some money to two different groups. Obviously, the high guessers are going to want more money for their group, right? What they found out is they would come to them and say, look, we're going to offer, okay, 30 pounds for your group, right? And 30 pounds for their group, or we can give your group 25 pounds and their group 15. So we can give you more, but it will still be less than what you otherwise would get if you were willing to share it equally. And you know what the result was, but time and again, right? People were willing to accept less as long as it was more than the other people got.
Bottom line. Bottom line.
And here's what they found out. There was self-esteem in having more than someone, even if it's less than what you could have.
Bottom line.
And human beings are this way where we all have a need to be winners.
Yes.
And if you can't win individually, then you're willing to accept it as the group.
There you go. There you go.
You see it, even aside from that, you see the things, and what it means about me is, we understand how we come about a race, but we do it in everything. How many people you see jumping around when their team wins the Super Bowl? We won. Now, only 45 people are getting a check.
Right.
That's it. Yeah. Come on now.
2 million people are running around, wrecking their own property.
Yeah.
That's
right?
true.
Because that need to feel that I'm a winner, I'm part of something.
Yeah.
And so what these monuments do is what Jesse says, you get to walk by every day, no matter how bad your life is going, you can look at that, okay, that's me.
Yes. That's powerful. Yeah.
And the challenge is to try to figure out a way where we can do this so that everyone has that need to be a winner, but that we don't do it on that basis, right? of whiteness or blackness or maleness.
Yeah.
Right? We find a better way to sort of be able to celebrate each other. And as men, we're talking about in this conversation, brotherhood. How do we get, this connection between all of us? Because it's so easy. For years, I fell into the idea, well, I'm better than those black people. And that's good.
Yep. There you go.
Yep.
Right? So how do we get into the fact that we're and some of you are doing some interesting things. Jesse, you belong to a group there in North Carolina of some, 100 black men?
Right. So I'm part of 100 Black Men. I'm in the Triangle East chapter. Okay. And one of the things we do, we host Saturday academies where we bring mentees in for a year-long program to basically teach them things that school isn't going to teach you. So things like financial management, things like police interactions is what I taught last weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
Things like starting a business, like stuff that the school isn't going to necessarily have a curriculum designed to do, but also that is going to emphasize their blackness in a space that doesn't always support blackness.
There you go.
And connecting them with people like the fellows I'm in the group with. I mean, we're dealing with people who are like big time engineers, accountants, judges, lawyers, like just to show people access to how things go. And one of the things I harp on is I try to emphasize that I want all of these students to make it only because if you're getting weeded out in high school, if you get caught up in a criminal charge in high school or whatever the case in high school, I won't even be able to get you to the actual battlefield where I am to be able to carry on the torch when I can't do it anymore. And I think historically, one of the problems for our community is we rely on folks who've been doing this well over 60 years. If Al Sharpton ain't coming or if Jesse Jackson ain't coming, we feel like, I guess it's not important enough. But we have to train a new generation, not just for survival, but excellence.
There we go.
When these things happen, they'll be able to step up. And not to mention, it'll be more volume because there'll be more of them stepping up and making statements. And I think all of the students that we mentor, they want to do that. I don't think there's ever been an issue. And we get all kinds of students. So it's people that the schools will come and give us a little smirk and be like, he's a disciplinary problem. Whatever the case. Right. But nobody's a disciplinary problem for us. And if something we got to do from the Marine Corps, he gonna straighten that out. Right. So anyway, we get students and we bring them in. And what I've been privileged to be able to see over the past 2 years since I've been part of the organization is I thought the power was in training and enlightening a student to be something better in the future. But now I'm realizing that's not the benefit. The benefit is these kids go home and tell their parents. Right?
Come on now.
So the parents are like, hey, I never knew that home ownership was viable for me.
There we go.
And they talk to you about how to save for a down payment, whatever. I wonder if I can do a separate session with these fellows to help me. So we started doing joint sessions with parents, right? And now you're getting people who are saying, why am I dealing with eviction? Why am I dealing with repossessions? Why am I dealing with any of this stuff? I have the power to change my circumstances, and I now want to do it because I've got two sets of eyes looking at me.
There we go.
Now that I know better, I'm going to do better.
Right.
So I think that's half the issue. America's white supremacist power structure is set up, in my opinion, on two things. One is, access to the resources, right? So people who got money, they're going to make sure they keep the money, right? I think the other thing is limited access to the information. So if 100%. You don't know that there's a problem, you won't even know to do research.
There you go.
I think there are a lot of things that, we can do on the information side to help people and connect people and help them navigate systems that have been challenges for me and a lot of my colleagues who had to kind of do this themselves. Like, I think much like Sean was saying, for many of us, we were the exception. I come from a neighborhood of 50 kids, right? 50 kids in my community. 5 of us were able to get out of high school and be successful, right? And when you think about that, I went from an entering class of 536 freshmen in high school to a graduating class of 208, right? So when you think about, kind of the impact that everything from criminal justice involvement, just regular poverty issues, when you think about all of these things that happen, one of the things that I've always benefited from is being able to look back and see, hey, these people are my friends. These are people that I grew up with. These aren't people who just were mean or bad from the beginning. These are people that we didn't know how we were going to do it. And but for me having the audacity to say, nah, I used to tell people I want to be a doctor. That was my thing. And people were like, how you going to be a doctor? We don't know no doctors. Like black people are doctors, whatever the case may be. And I had no clue. I had no idea how to be a doctor. All I knew is doctors was making bank. And how I got to do it to be a doctor, I'm going to do it. And then I started taking chemistry classes, and chemistry was like, nah, you ain't going to be no doctor, bro. So, but in doing that and then going through that failure of realizing, hey, man, I'm not good at science and I'm scared that I'm not going to be able to provide a benefit for anybody or get paid. It was in doing that I started realizing what my actual talents were, which is writing, advocating for people. And I think it paired itself well to be law school. And I think it's important that kids that I mentor know this because they look at us and they say, oh, you were a professional football player. That was your goal. Or you were an accountant. That was your goal. And for most of the people I know, that wasn't their goal. Like, it was like, look, I came in, I had to figure it out. And then when I figured it out, I was like, hey, this is the way to maximize and make money, or this is the way to start a business. The community needs this or whatever. And you subscribe to the things that either you're good at or that you have connections for.
Bottom line.
So once you do that, kids are like, oh, so you mean there's no linear pathway to get to what I want. And I'm like, absolutely. You don't have to wait to get a college degree to start a business. You don't have to. Right?
You don't have to.
You can do that now. You can learn a trade now. Y'all,
There
some
you
people
go.
look down at plumbers, but I know plumbers getting paid. So
Come on now.
Absolutely.
you can look into all these things, and that's not to say not to go to college. That's to say go to college too, right?
There you go.
And learn everything you can so that you are in a position to be self-reliant, most importantly, because now I'm convinced anybody can fire me at any point in time. I have a great job. I love the people I work with. But the pink slip can come whenever they want to, and I'm still going to be okay, right? Because I can figure it out. But likewise, once I get you through all of these initial challenges, which is already astronomical, and you shouldn't have to go through it. But once I get you through this, then it's like, welcome to the battlefield. Now let me tell you about
Right.
and let's go out here and organize and try to, break down some of these systems so that we can get more of the field.
I like that. Yeah, I love that. That's powerful. Yeah. That's powerful. I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, brothers, now what do we have in Phoenix that we should be doing something similar like that?
They had 100 black men out here, and I was looking to actually become a part of it. And I actually was looking to acquire a space from them because they have a space in South Phoenix that they weren't utilizing. And so through my nonprofit, I was looking to acquire that space, but you're talking about no cooperation at all.
Wow.
And so I was kind of stymied right there. But to be honest, it's not much going on in Phoenix at this point. The population of us is fairly low, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be doing anything. But actually a colleague, a cohort member of mine, she's actually doing some work. She works for the Maricopa Community College system, and she's very focused and fixated on the getting our black children to college. And so she's doing a lot of things with that right now. She's heavily in the foundational stages, but I know that she mentioned about some luncheon that I wasn't able to make, but her name is Felicia Ganther, and she's a Juris Doctorate, and also she's about to finish up her PhD. We'll probably we'll walk that stage together, so she'll finish that up. So, but she's doing a lot of research on that, and with the actually Latino males as well. But as I've looked around the valley, honestly, I haven't seen much of that going on. And again, the work that I'm doing through my research and my program, because I was so just discouraged because of the lack of commitment out here to African Americans. Like I said, I designed, this initiative to go national. And so, of course, you definitely got to touch on local, of course, because no matter what, you're going to have to touch on either city to city. But, like I said, for me personally, I haven't been able to make a steady connection with anybody out here who is looking to actually help African American children. So, I don't know. Maybe we can get that started fairly soon here.
Yeah, we need to reach out and and one of the challenges you have, is when you have a very small population. I mean, we're we're a percent or two, maybe two.
Come on now. Yep.
Is that so? For instance, police brutality is a big thing of mine. I would to look at to join the local chapter of the NAACP, and I realized if I joined, I'd be president.
Right. Bottom line. There you go. Bottom line. I did some work with them.
They have, I think it opened. There's like one person. I mean, it was like three people or something. I mean, it was a small number, and I was like, wow. It's partly a number thing, but then once again, it's like we end up getting discouraged because there are enough black people we can figure this out. Got to be 100.
Come on now.
But when it's small numbers and small involvement, you sort of get, with way it normally works is a lot of times you go through the churches.
Yeah.
And we've one big black church.
Yeah, Pilgrim Ranch. Yeah.
But we have to work some way to get a little more involved because here's the thing I found out with young people. And Jesse, I love the fact that it's sort of spreading to the parents, but with young people, it's like just the idea. Here's what we all grew up with: the idea, and you talked about it earlier. We started with this that what you did mattered and that you were responsible to somebody in the community. So the two of you were responsible for each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, what one does reflects on the other. Yeah. I grew up in an age where, you know, where the number one thing you go out, your parents be like, look, don't embarrass me in front of these white people.
Come on now. Hey, for real.
Flat out.
Right? And don't embarrass, you know, by the way, when you go into some class trip, first thing they would say is, you know, don't embarrass us, right? You know, because other black people are behind you.
Yes,
but
sir.
the thing that's valuable about that is, so I'm out in my suburb with no black people, and I got this crazy idea a few years ago that I would start paying it backward. And the idea was, when I'm on the road, anytime I see a black person, they serve me in a service position, I tip them $20.
Yeah, at least.
And $20 to the drive-through window. And by the way, that person's going to ask you a question like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And so I would always tell them, hey, look, we take care of our own, right? Yeah. And the thing that I got was, so I was going to McDonald's in my own neighborhood, and there was, now for years there was no problem because there was no black people working there, but eventually we got a brother working there. Every time I went there, he was there. It was $5 for a number 5, right? And I'm like, I can't afford to have this brother here. I'm happy to complain about me getting fired or something because I can't keep paying $25. But the funny thing is, he told me one day, we were in the window, you know, I came in the window and he said, you know, I got to tell you something, sir. And, you know, there are days in which, you know, a lot of people in the drive-thru are very nice. I'm like, yeah, I know. And I want to curse them out. But sometimes I think about you and my mother, and I think, you know, I can't do that because I'd be, you know, you got to still live here.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
And I was like, that is what your $20 buys, right?
There you go.
The time Jesse spends, you know, volunteering buys is what the programs you develop and buy. It's that idea that we're all in this together.
Yeah. Period. Yep. Absolutely. I like that.
And there was a time where there was a little bit of time we dropped the ball on that, and we got a lot of young brothers and sisters out here just, you know, totally isolated in the world on their own.
Yep. Bottom line.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I think it's important, the work that my brother's doing that I'm, you know, helping him out with, assisting. Like I said, once we roll it out, I think it's going to be pretty impactful. I think it'll have that reach that, you know, we're looking for to try to bring in, you know, this hub and kind of it's a safe space for especially black children, you know, because, you know, as an adult, you know how it is, even when we share, you know, say black history information with some older, you know, black folks, sometimes they're in denial. They're like, no, that's not true.
Right.
That's not true. You know, and so we understand, you know, when it comes to children, especially, like you, Sean, you're in a position, you know, obviously this brother sees that you're successful. You know, you come through, you're able to give him money. When you're in a position when you've been, you know, quote unquote, elevated, and now you're telling these kids, hey, this is, you know, your history, or this is how you should do things, they're going to be more apt to listen to you.
Truthfully.
Because they see, you know, something that they can maybe aspire to be, or a place that they can aspire to get to. So, But yeah. So, I mean, I think we all kind of came to the conclusion that we do need that solidarity, you know, like you were mentioning, brother, that solidarity. But and I like the fact that obviously, Jesse, you're on the East Coast and you guys have this thing going on. It's a lot of minds working to try and to bring that together. And I think, and I'm a real big believer in energy. You know, if we can continue to spark these minds, I don't care if we have one in Wisconsin, one in Montana, whatever it is, we continue to spark these minds, and collectively, eventually, I think the universe is going to bring us all together. Yeah. And then we'll have exactly what we're looking for. So that's very encouraging.
You sparked something with me with that Wisconsin comment, and we do have to address I've encountered it, and I'm sure a couple of you have. Every once in a while, I encounter an anti-brother.
There you go. Oh, man.
Hey, the worst.
I was in North Dakota. I'm not bragging. It's where I was. And I'm giving a talk to North Dakota State Bar, and you'd find it hard to believe, but not a lot of brothers in the room. So there's one brother in the room, and I'm basically giving the whole talk to him, right? I keep, you little side marks like, yeah, brother, they don't know. This is a black thing. And every time I point to him, he looked behind him. And who the hell is he talking about? My heart. But I could tell he got into North Dakota to hide from the rest of us. Like he didn't want to be, he didn't even hide. He even witness protection, something.
Right.
Like, he looked at me like the whole time, like, brother, you blowing my cover. Now, I convinced these people that I was Dominican. Now, messed it all up.
Oh man. Hey,
what do we do about these brothers? Do we just sort of let it go? Is there a way to rehabilitate these brothers to bring them back?
I don't know. It's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's the self-hate is so strong within these people, man. They want to completely disassociate themselves with their skin color, and it's hard.
The way that I see it is, I know that there's a story about Nat Turner, and before they got ready to ride, Nat, he asked, who all out there wasn't willing to die for the cause, and for whoever didn't raise their hand, the statement that followed was, the first order of business is to get to killing them. Now, I don't mean that in the literal. Yeah. I mean that figuratively, right? Figuratively, what we do is honestly, it's the way that we kill them is we don't give them any attention. It's kind of like what Nipsey said, you put them on goofy time, just put them in the corner, and we just continue to, push forward because we're not going to be able to convince everyone. Everybody isn't willing to lose, whatever it is that they've gained for this. I guess they feel like they can lose something or what have you, but kind of like the brother in North Dakota, like you said, blowing this cover, like, come on now, man, I'm in good. Yeah. So,
here's why I totally get it is that, I tell people this and they never believe me, but it's true. I was Mormon. I want to write a book one of these days called 6.5 Years of Mormon. Just like,
Okay.
I
think that's necessary, brother. Yeah.
But here's one of the reasons we joined. I'm sure when you've been in Arizona, you've been approached. Is that man? They were good to us.
Yes, they were. Yep.
The only blacks we got to speak. They let me, you know how to speak. They let me speak at I just baby member. Let me speak with the big bishops, whatever. I met 3 of the 9 people who run the company. I met the president of BYU. They had. Okay. I was think about it. You're a black person. You gonna take them, show them you around, right?
Yeah,
and so it's so I understand it's so tempting when you're the only black person to sort of buy into that thing because if as long as you think if you're the only one, they fine.
Yeah.
He started bringing some brothers and cousins over for he ain't gonna be anymore. But as long as it's him, you cool.
Yeah.
Here's a brother who's a mayor of one of those towns in Montana. Because if you don't,
I remember that we talked about it.
Wow.
And so I understand how it's tempting, to want to be, that brother. But on the other hand, though, it's really a little disheartening. I got to tell you.
It is. Yeah. It is. I mean, I think that I think it's kind of like, Charles Barkley. You could have 1 million African Americans saying, listen, this situation is bad. We're being treated, just in a horrible manner. And you have Charles Barkley go on television and say, no, it's not that bad. Everybody has equal opportunity. Then next thing you know, it's, now you got 10 million white folks saying, you see, it's not that bad. All you got to do is be willing to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and so on and so forth. So they truly can cause so much, just detriment to any progress that we make. But at the same time, we have to be willing to, again, just in a sense, ignore these people. Don't give them any attention.
Right.
Link up with like minds. Link up with the people who are willing to tell their truth because we're not making this up. And then I tell my students this all the time. If 100 people walk into a building and they all walk out, and 2 weeks later you find out 90 of them have the bird flu, you don't try to just disregard the fact that this building may be infested or it may be infected with bird flu. You understand what I'm saying? Like, just because the 10 of them weren't infected. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But, So this is what I try to tell my students. It's like, just because 10 say it's not a problem, you can't disregard. You can't, judge the condition of a people off the minority. You have to look at the majority. And so we look at the majority of African Americans, you're going to have the majority saying, listen, there's a problem in this country, and that building that's infected with that bird flu is white supremacy in this country. These structures that we're under, these oppressive systems. And so, and we're impacted by them, but we do have that quote unquote talented 10. We slipped through the crack, and with that rose that grew from the concrete or what have you. And so, you have a lot of white folks who will look and say, yeah, this is a meritocracy when in all actuality it's not. So.
Well, let me tell you something funny, because everybody likes to throw around that slogan when they want to help assist in the oppression of black people. They want to throw around, lift yourself up by your bootstraps. So
come on now.
I had somebody tell me that before, and I was like, okay, so when you gonna lift yours? So like,
come on now. There you go.
The funniest thing, like one of the things about white supremacy that really, really relates to me, because of course I read a lot. I think about the way that white supremacy was presented to me from jump. So I don't know if you read Greco-Roman mythology or Greek mythology or whatever. I feel like Greek mythology is exactly what capitalism and white supremacy is incarnate, right? So basically, we've got 12 people who are divine, right? Like that's all knowing. They control all the resources. They can go and fix all the problems if they wanted to, but they don't because they want people to believe in them and worship them.
There you go.
They don't do anything. The people who become memorable are folks like Prometheus, who climbed up and stole the fire from them, right? They had plenty of fire. They could have brought it down at any time, but they didn't want him to be the person to come take it, right?
There you go.
All of the systems were designed for the worship of this structure, were designed for people to understand that if bad things happen to you, obviously it can't be based on any choices that you have or opportunity. It has to be based on this bigger institution, right?
Right.
Until you can change the institution, you're powerless to do anything but pray and cry about it, right?
Oh, man. There you go.
What happens is, once Prometheus steals this fire, he realizes, well, I could go off and I could be the guy that says, hey, I got fire, right? I'm like a god now. You have to come to me. But that's not what he did. He was like, no, I'm going to give everybody the fire. Right. And when everybody has a little bit of fire, then guess what? People stop believing in a fire, right?
Hello. Hello. Yes, sir.
It's one of those things where you take a resource away. And the benefit of being black on top of this is, we never really required much to be able to operate.
At
all. I know for me, it's nice that you go without eating, or if Thanksgiving come around, my mom will make miracles happen. Right. Very limited quantities of supplies, right? And so we don't need much in order to operate, because one, we're going to be able to stretch. Two, we're going to have unity, brotherhood, sisterhood. So there's an aunt that's going to bring the mashed potatoes. There you
go.
Like, we can put it together to make things work. And what happens is, when you're able to show opportunity after opportunity where you've made it work, despite the fact that a white person similarly situated in that situation would have an emotional breakdown trying to figure out how it's going to work. You've made it work independent of the system that they want you to believe in, and independent of the deity that they want you to accept, which is white supremacy. So you're like, oh, I can do it without it. And when you do it without it, you become successful. It makes everybody operating in the system, black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever, challenge the system, right? Why can they do it?
And that's why the Black Panthers were so dangerous.
Period. Absolutely. It's like, wow, what, and not only dangerous, this is what used to really get me about them. So the government invested all this time and effort to basically destroy and uproot them. But the government still obviously recognized there was value in the plan they did. Because what do we have? Free breakfast. You know what I'm saying? We got sickle cell anemia tested.
Got WIC, the WIC program.
Absolutely. We got all.
Come on now.
So you thought the programs that they were doing obviously had some kind of benefit for you, right? And you that somebody else put together the apparatus to do it and did not have to depend on begging a government
Come on now.
to make it happen.
Yeah,
And
there
I
you
think
go.
to me, that's the challenge that they hated more than Alameda County Courthouse with guns. That's scary. But they got more guns than us. They can figure that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Once you educate children, right, and you indoctrinate children into understanding what their role in society is, how they can get around this system that is trying to be forced down their throats, and you get in a position to be able to unify in brotherhood with other people who are similarly situated.
There we go. I like that.
As a community to break through barriers that people as an individual can't. And get back to, the anti-black. I think one of the benefits for people who are anti-black are that they have found a pocket of acceptance in shunning their blackness.
Yes.
The pocket of acceptance is a permissive pocket of acceptance. So the moment they step outside of that zone and they become public enemy number one, then that society that has embraced them so much can just as easily turn on them and have to figure it out. So sooner or later, everybody has to come home.
Yeah.
I deal with anti-black people. I'm never going to shun them. I'm never going to be mean to them. I'm just going to, let them figure it out and always open door and a light on, because I'm like, one day it's going to come. You're going to need it.
You're going to have your black moment. Yep.
You're going to want it. And the resources. My hope is that when you come back, one, you feel comfortable enough to come to me and talk to me about it. Am I going to roast you for what all the decisions you made? Absolutely. But I'm still going to help, because
there we go.
Who your freedom fighters of the future are going to be.
Thank you.
Sometimes it takes people already embedded in the system to understand how to dismantle it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm fine with that. I just think that my big thing is, for the majority of black people, I want us to love us. We're being taught about how we're not good enough, or what our shortcomings are, or what we're prone to do, right? But nobody ever takes time to sit down and talk about what we've accomplished, the things that we've done, the influences we've made, the legal changes that we've been able to illustrate. Nobody sits down to really embrace that, because in a country where you were given nothing and you were deemed property in less than the 300 years of this country's operation, you've been able to move the pendulum from being property to being a decision maker, right?
Come on now.
So my whole thing is, we can do all kinds of things because we come from stock of people who did powerful, unbelievable things. And if kids don't understand that, then they're getting fed a false narrative about
there you go,
as opposed to understanding the context.
Nailed it.
You nailed it. Absolutely.
Hey, I wanted to ask, since we're on that topic of white supremacy, and I don't know how you guys feel about animals, but how do you feel about the Michael Vick situation?
Oh.
He wrote about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So here's my thing, right? I look at the Michael Vick situation. Well, first of all, I look at this in a very different situation, because I think that the way that the black community and dog ownership goes is vastly different from the white community dog ownership. I think our community were tools for security. Like they weren't your best friend to take pictures with.
Come on now. Yes.
That kind of thing. So, and that's not to say that, they deserve to be abused or anything like that. But I also think we have a criminal justice system that presided over a case. The man went to prison for the conviction of what he was accused for. He did his time, right? Since that time, he comes out. Now, since that time, he's done things that I wouldn't have even advised him to do as an attorney. He's donated money to animal rights causes. I wouldn't have advised him to do that.
Wow.
He's been trying to, in a sense, I think Michael Vick is trying to run in the race for NFL's, I don't want to say token, but for lack of a better term, token, particularly with Colin Kaepernick as the antithesis right now.
There you go. Yeah.
It's working for him, because after all those years of rejection,
there you go.
Is standing in behind him. Like, we don't care what the haters say. We're still going to honor him at the Pro Bowl.
Yep.
So that's one thing. But I also think that we have to deal with the fact that black people, when it comes to white supremacist power structure, we were deemed property, and we're still deemed property, whether or not we're defined as that or not. So in being deemed property, whereas they don't value animals as property, right? Animals are property, right? In being deemed property, people can overlook all of the black people who have been killed, from Sandra Bland, Alton Sterling, John Crawford, Tamir Rice, all the black people who have been killed by police. We can absolutely ignore that.
Exactly, right?
Yep. Back almost 15 years for some guy who did some stuff to dog, which it wasn't even just him. Like, this was, it's just an organization of people that he grew up with who were involved in dog fighting. Right. And he did some bad things with the dogs as well, but this was part of an enterprise. So even some of the stuff that he took the blame for ultimately wasn't necessarily directly caused by him, right?
Exactly.
But he took the fall because you financed it, right?
Exactly.
So I guess my problem is, how can we so readily overlook black destruction and death that is on your nightly news?
Yes.
We can easily castigate against somebody who has paid their debt to society, has done everything that white people want them to do. Basically, at this point, all he left is the tap dance on TV, and he'll probably do that at the Pro Bowl. So,
absolutely. Yep.
And people are still like, I could never forgive.
I could never.
And then on top of that, I just feel like, there's a different standard. We talked about this earlier too, with black teenagers. They're not allowed to be kids, right?
Nope.
Black teenagers are super predators. Like, we've got all these other things that are going on that is a societal marker about who we are. So whenever you get yourself embroiled in anything that's criminal, right, then it's reinforcement to a white supremacist society that that's what you are, right? So it doesn't matter if he's paid his debt, because now he's been convicted and he's always going to be a criminal. Now, meanwhile, a lot of people that you represent who are white have just as many convictions, if not more, but the justice system was lenient with them. They didn't necessarily have to have the sentencing, or they created new statutes for expungements to get all kinds of things that we just weren't privy to. And as a result, they can present themselves as a much cleaner version of who they are, as opposed to what we know if we just run their social security number through the court system.
Right. But the thing about Michael Vick, didn't he come back and play after prison?
Got a $100 million contract.
Yeah, but that's the part I don't get. It's like, you would think all of this just happened, and then now the NFL wants to use him as this kind of how they gonna stand behind a black guy or something. How they gonna because when Michael Vick, whenever the Colin Kaepernick thing started, and he said, oh, he should cut his hair, like that was. That was Michael Vick trying to, get in position right there.
There you go.
And I don't know. You did bring up a great point about how the NFL wanted to use Michael Vick for this situation, but when I look at it, I'm like, I don't know. And just how you were talking about, like, with animals, it blows my mind, because I really would like to try it, but I just don't have the time or the energy to do it. But when it comes to, especially in Arizona, and Sean, out here, when it comes to, European Americans and their dogs, like, it's to the point where they're allowed to take them to work with them.
Oh yeah, right.
Like, and now I look at this and I'm like, okay, and I see them come in the mall and a restaurant, whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, now, if you had a bunch of black people with dogs, do you think that would be acceptable?
Hell no.
You got to do the experiment, man. You got to do the experiment, and make sure you get pit bulls and Rottweilers. Like,
exactly.
Walk in the grocery store with pit bulls and Rottweilers, and see won't they have management coming over there.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, I'm not even sure we should be allowed to own dogs. Because you see, our relationship is so different. I can't imagine any man any woman, black women, holding a little rat dog and kissing him in the mouth. We had a dog a long time ago growing up. We had a dog, and this is how you know the difference between a black dog and a dog. The dog that was raised in the hood, the dog was raised in the suburbs, right? When I opened the front door, my two toy stupid ass dogs, they don't make a run for it.
Exactly.
I was growing up as a kid. If you let the door even crack open, you didn't have no dog anymore.
Ain't
Come
no
on now.
No, that is a great point.
They gone.
Can't wait to get the hell away from home, right? My dogs ain't going nowhere. They're like, I ain't got nowhere that could possibly be better than here, right?
Right.
I'm putting them in the bed with the kids. Like, I ain't never gonna get to this damn place.
Oh my God. That's actually a great point.
You know, where our relationship with dogs is just different, right? Like you said,
it is.
watchdog, or it's just like, you know, think about it. Not a lot of black people, you know, have dogs you keep in the house.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And, you know, and so it's different. You know, the thing that sort of turned me off of the whole thing, and you know, Dusty sort of mentioned that, is at first I was like, yeah, they probably should do a little better. And then, you know, the Michael Vick, and then I started seeing these people talking about, you know, I never forgive him. I never forgive him. And I'm like, wait a minute. You their mind. You know, we live in a country where we technically forgive people for, you know, that woman who I love this, who remember, drove her kids in the lake.
Yeah.
Right? She about to get out. You think anybody gonna be running around going, I never forgive her?
Exactly.
Right.
That's real.
Everybody else gonna be like, yeah, whatever. She served her time. And I'm like, the thing where, you know, like I said, it's not the same thing. And, you know, and the idea, you know, that somehow, you know, we are just, it was different than even, you know, the crime itself. It became more of a personal thing, right? Where he is now labeled as not someone who did a bad thing, but he is that bad thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
And
like he's the face of animal abuse.
We're supposed to be Christians where we believe in redemption.
Yes.
But not only for some people.
Yeah. Yep. Come on now. You know what it is. It's never, obviously, you know, it's always that double standard when it comes to us. You know, any chance they can get to, you know, villainize us, then it's gonna happen. But I just, you know, even when they show like these trophy hunters who are going over to Africa and killing like these, you know, these majestic, beautiful creatures, like, you know, in their natural habitat, not hurting anyone, you know, like, I don't see how this society, like, with a clean mind overlooks that, but then, you know, raise hell about, you know, the dogs. And I mean, I love dogs. I mean, I don't have a problem, or I don't think I've been you know, abused any animals or anything like that. But when you're actually going and killing animals and then taking pictures with them, there's something wrong with you. Yeah, I'm sorry. You taking pictures with their corpse, there's something wrong with you.
Well, please, I've seen people, and you know, I've been to many people's houses where they got a big old dead animal on the wall.
Yes.
Period.
Like, I'm like, you talking about Michael Vick? I don't see him with no animals on the wall.
You know, and everything you hearing is hearsay. You know, from the people who rolled over on him. Yeah. You know, like Jesse said, he stepped up and he took it or whatever. But you know, that's all hearsay. They didn't actually see it or anything like that. But we're actually seeing these pictures with people with these corpses holding their antlers and, you know, by these big elephants and lions and things. And there's no sort of outrage. Like they're, you know, celebrated for this. It's just like the Jimmy John's owner. You know, nobody's boycotting Jimmy John's, and he goes and kills all the animals. Right.
Man, well, I tell you, I've been boycotting them for years, and let me tell you why. Because like my sandwich is hot, damn it. I'm not sure you think something like that cold cut right into my freezer. If you out there, Johns, kiss my ass. I'm telling you. Get a damn oven in there.
Oh my God. No, seriously, like I don't understand how it's so popular. Like I remember when it was in Illinois, in southern Illinois, and it was like in this small town, Carbondale. And it was like a big deal because it would stay open late. Right. I used to go down there and party when I was, you know, in college, and a lot of people that we went to high school with, they went there. I was like, Jimmy John's, okay. And I'm like, well, it's cold, but I'm like, it's local, so I see why it's popular. I didn't expect it to get that big, especially being cold sandwiches like that. So
really,
I agree.
I think it's the bicycles, man. I think it's the bicycles.
Because I wrote another sponsor, right? Exactly.
I think it's the bicycles, man. Like that.
Oh my God.
Hey, we can do this all night. We're going to wrap up. Anyone have any final words, a closing prayer?
I wanted to just say, to be honest, Jesse, how old are you, sir?
36.
36. All right. Yeah, we're 34.
Okay, let's be clear about that. Jesse gets sir. I get sir.
Oh, like it's
hey, I got you with this. I've been meaning to write about this forever. Vincent changed my life. I meet with this brother, right? This brother, and he's calling me sir. And at first, I used to always say to people, like, no, my daddy's Mr. Carter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But halfway into it, I started liking it. and so, of course, I paid for the breakfast because that's what you do when you serve. So you have to pay.
Right.
Right? But the point is, now, if you 51, you got to call me sir, right?
Hey, I mean, I talk to my kids that way as well. I just, that's just a standard. My dad and, they were, like my brother said, very militant. And, I think it does a good job of setting that standard as far as, if someone speaks to you in that way, even your child, instead of them saying, yeah, I don't have to, misread their tone or anything. It's like,
that's a good point. That's a good point because I was raised very similar. Now, like my mom is yes ma'am, yes ma'am, and she's only about 5'2", but I know the power of the backhand is very forceful.
Exactly.
And you just don't know, like you might just be. I remember one time she asked me a question and I was on the phone and I'm not good with handling multiple conversations at once. So I was saying, I was responding to somebody on the phone and she was like, what? Like, oh my goodness, right? The beating that happened, right? So yeah, I think older black generation for sure. They want to make sure you got them prefixes and stuff.
Yes.
But I like it. My wife is 8 months younger than me. I tried it with her. It didn't work as well.
No, but I just wanted to say, to be honest, because, we were hardcore athletes our whole lives. And, for the majority, that was our main focus. And when we made this shift to go into academia and start to, build that brain muscle just as big as we did with our, biceps and our pecs and our legs. And it was kind of scary because we were still surrounded by all athletes and we needed, examples to see, and when we had this thirst for knowledge, and we wanted that knowledge that, fed our soul and our spirit, which is Black history, but also you want to see those Black examples. And, I just want to, salute you brothers, and I did when I came across, Sean, I was just looking and I saw that post and it just all made sense. It was about that package that was delivered at your house. And, and people, they might look at that, especially if they haven't lived that life, they'll look at that and say, oh, he's just making a big deal. But it was so powerful because that's something that small in what you wrote, it has been, lived out, in different scenarios, just like with Botham Jean, she walks into this dude's apartment and assassinates him. That should be capital murder right there. But it's like something that small, like you said, if I even put my kid or myself in that situation, that is going, we're taking a risk just with something that small. So when I saw that, I was like, man. And so I started looking at all your other posts and I'm like, man, this brother's sharp. And he is very unafraid to speak up on, the truth. Right. And honestly, because, how we grew up, and I'm sure Jesse, you knew, the streets and things like that as well. You have this fearless mentality and, to us, now we were fearless on the field, but now intellectually you have to figure out like, how fearless can I be? And when I saw you, Sean, it was so refreshing because you can be yourself and nobody is going to challenge you because of your credentials, but everything that you say is factual.
Exactly.
And it's just going to be hard to go against you because, you sharp with the pen.
Oh yeah.
You sharp with it. And
I appreciate, let me just say, that's the thing where we're always sort of going back and forth on. I tell you, recently I've had some trepidations. I've lost some clients over it, some money over it.
Yeah.
Being so outspoken, I do it again.
Yes.
But there's, and so here's what I say, I got lucky in the sense that, one of the things that's allowed me to be a little more outspoken than most is that, I have my own business now. Having your own business doesn't mean, we always say this, I get my own business, I work for myself.
Yeah.
Now, you work for a whole bunch of different bosses.
Yes.
I've always sort of prided myself on never having any client that was more than 5% of my business.
No, there you go.
Have that flexibility to walk away or have them walk away anytime and not, be beholden to them.
Mm-hmm.
But, there are times in which I have to look back and go, maybe I shouldn't have said it. And here's the thing about it is, one of the things that's allowed me to be more outspoken than most is humor.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If you want to tell people the truth, there are 3 ways to do it. You can do it anonymously, posthumously, or humorously.
Okay, I like that.
I
like that. Yeah,
I'm a little too young to do posthumously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Humorously, but like I said, it's the kind of thing where I don't want to hold myself as a model there because there's some cost. And this Christmas around me, it's not going to be all Xbox and PlayStation. There's going to be some soft underwear under the tree this year, right?
Right. No, I get it. I understand that. I understand. Obviously being diplomatic at the same time, but what it shows is that having that confidence in yourself. You obviously, what I knew was you obviously have put yourself in a situation to where you can be fearless. Right, I'm not saying that you should always walk into corporate America and then start telling white folks about themselves. I understand that part as well. But what I'm saying is like, it made me just because of the history that we studied and the knowledge that we gained, it empowered us in that way. And to go into academia, it just, I don't know, to couple that, with the education, the formal education, but then also the independent research, learning about self. It was powerful just to see a black man speaking his mind. Yeah. And obviously he had put himself in a situation where he can speak his mind. And you see all these white people, I call them quote unquote, maybe, they're not intellectual cowards. Like they're open to, hearing some truth. It was like, because you were, you have the education and like you said, the humor, now you can deliver that truth because it's the same truth. It's just, you dress it up a little differently. So that in itself, gave me more confidence, and that's why I told my brother, I'm like, man, look at this, because we do like to speak up on things. And, my brother obviously is a professor and just like, Jesse as well. But, and they do it, they have to do it with a diplomatic approach.
A little more diplomatically.
Yeah, exactly. But,
you guys, you heard my origin story, right?
Origin?
Origin. You know how Superman has no origin, Batman, right? Origin story where, what made me and the Sean Codger, right? The crazy, shit talking brother.
Yeah.
You ever, and both of you, I don't know if you ever saw the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin.
No, yes, we have.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Tons of time.
Kevin Hart's in the store with the right?
And Romani Malco.
Yeah.
Basically, they're having this dispute, and Kevin Hart's like, "Come on, get my nigga." And eventually, he goes too far with my nigga here now. And the election of Trump was my nigga here now. I tried to be professional. I tried to be reasonable with you for almost 50 years. But when you elect Trump to be president, nigga here now. All right? I'm like, you elected someone who we don't even know can read to be president.
Seriously.
Yes.
There's no vocabulary, doesn't even sound like the part. Nevertheless, being, intelligent and well, you don't even look the part, right?
No, bottom line.
And when he did that, I was like, I'm no more Mr. Respectable. And, I love me some Obama, respect the brother, but no, I'm not doing Obama no more.
No.
Yeah. No, that's big though, because, like I was just saying, what I just, for us to transition, to switch lanes like that and see you guys who obviously, been on that academic path and that, professional, actually being in the professional realm, especially being in law, it's inspiring for us, especially for the initiatives that we want to roll out with the kids and stuff. The kids need to see people like you all.
Yes.
They need to see that because they don't know just because they think when you're under the bright lights, that's when, that's who you want to, should aspire to be like. But, more than likely you're going to end up being like you guys are saying, when they were little, they didn't want to be an accountant or, maybe even an attorney or something like that. Like Jesse, how you said you found your way or whatever. Like they need to see that because it really is inspiring. Because even from my brother and I, it's inspiring when we see other educated brothers because where we come from is just not like that. And sisters as well. But where we come from, it's the streets, and we're trying to push this narrative to, people back home. Like you don't only need to travel this entertainment path. You can go, the educational route, and it's more longevity in it anyway, and a better quality of life. And in my opinion, just from, being the athlete and doing all that, I just feel like it's a big waste of time, to be honest. Like it was a decent experience. It wasn't all it was hyped up to be, but, I just think, the path that you guys chose is kind of where, the majority of our kids need to be going anyway.
Yeah, that makes me feel a lot better because I've been waiting on Roger Goodell to call me.
Right. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Just what you gonna now that you getting all skinny? What you gonna play now?
Nah, man, I always. I wanted to go to the NFL, and this is the curse for me. I was in high school with a guy who ended up going to the NFL.
Oh, really?
And he used to call and email me and report all the cool things that he was doing. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm at a party with Steven Jackson and Torrey Holt. We at Madonna's house. Look at these pictures. Everybody here is dressed up. Oh man, I think I saw Rihanna." Like,
oh my God.
And meanwhile, I'm in here in an old crusty old English law book. And I'm like, look, I don't care. care. He's like, man, you could have did this with a little more hard work. You could have been up here. I was like, no, you were in high school jumping over grown men. I don't think it's the same thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Man,
it's an interesting dilemma, but and I joke and I kid, but one of the things I think, particularly in low income demographics, is we believe that's the way because that's what we see. But even in those avenues, white men control it, right? So if when I used to do music law, half of the frustration and the hair pulling was me trying to convince somebody to understand that even though it's great that you got this offer for a deal, it's not the type of deal that you think it is.
Right.
And you're going to be making a nickel for every album.
There you
go.
Yep.
And like just little things like that where people don't understand business. So my thing is, in America, you can do anything you want to do as long as you understand the business principles behind it. Right.
There you go.
So if you understand who's getting the money, you need to know how to contract, not let them get your money. Right.
Yes.
Even with, podcasting. So I'm glad to hear that you all are going to be doing the same thing. But with podcasting, at some point, everybody who we've seen growing their podcast since we've been operational, there's going to come a point where people are going to start getting deals because podcasts seem to be the wave of the future.
Right.
And when these deals come, one of the first things they try to do is brand you as talent, not brand the fact that you built an audience from scratch.
Right?
Not try to brand any of the ownership or the ideas that you have put out into the atmosphere and the sustainability of that audience. They're going to try to brand you as, oh yeah, you're talent. And they're going to try to take 2/3 of your money to pay you a check, which seems good until you realize how much the other 2/3 of your money is.
There you go.
I think even with, and that's for anything, even with people who, if you become an employee, I had a lot of friends of mine when they graduated who they were able to go and they get their dream job working at the firm in New York they wanted to work at. But then they're worried because they never get to go home, wife starts cheating, whatever the case may be. And it's like, well, what you expect her to do? You was at
exactly.
Come on now. So it's one of those things where I feel like you have to first, I mean, Wu-Tang taught us this. You got to read the labels, right? So
Right.
Come on, read the label first to understand what you're getting into, and then negotiate with your skill sets that I think for our community and our demographic aren't emphasized. So we don't negotiate. We think the accomplishment is the achievement, right?
There you
I got a deal. I got a deal. I'm going to go back to her, I got a deal. And they gave me $10,000 advance money. So I'm going to go out here, blow the $10,000. And then when it's time to shoot a video and I don't have no money, I need to ask them for another advance. So
Come on now.
And you know, and the only reason it frustrates me is because likewise, I also represented some white groups who did pop and rock. And their deals didn't look anything like that, right? Like their deals was, oh yeah, full creative control. Oh yes, you get, $2.50 per album sold. Yes, we're gonna set you up with Toby Keith, and we're gonna do this. And there's so much like it's not. It's almost like for hip hop it was competitive, but for everybody else it was collaborative, right? And it's just like, wow, I don't understand, why things are the way they are, but it's because we allow them to be.
Yeah, bottom line. There you go.
Right. Yep. So. Anyway, I know I can talk to y'all all night, but I want to make sure that you all get a chance to plug your podcast, let everybody know where they can find it and where they can find and contact you guys.
Yes, sir. Oh, absolutely. I appreciate that. We are, the Distinguished Twins podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. We're also on YouTube at Distinguished Twins. What else? Oh, Facebook, we're Distinguished Twins. That's our page. You can like it. On Instagram, we're at distinguished.twins. And on Twitter is _distinguished2. So you can reach us on, any one of those platforms or listen to, our podcast on, I'm sorry? Or view on YouTube, Distinguished Twins.
And just so y'all know, because I'm a supporter, just got a new subscriber. So I'm subscribed. I got my little check mark.
Okay.
So I am ready. I'm on board.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Yes, sir. That's brotherhood right there.
There you go.
Really, really appreciate it, for the audience. Hey, thanks so much. It's been an interesting 2019. 2020 is going to be even more interesting. At the end of the year, it might be bad interesting or good interesting. We'll find out.
Right.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And if you haven't already found us, make sure check out Bruthas-N-Law. That's BRUTHASN Law, LAW. On Facebook, we have very lively conversations that we try to keep people informed of, even when they don't include Michael Vick. So
there you go.
But they often or Jesse from Empire.
Jesse Smollett.
Juicy Smooth.
Oh, yeah?
Smooth.
Man, and then that girl go and fake that kidnapping. Oh my God.
Come on, my goodness.
Setting us back, man.
Well, in her defense.
Yeah.
Come
on,